Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and I've got a really fun technique and tutorial for you today. We're going to do a chalkboard technique, and I know they just did the chalkboard technique over at Split Coast Stampers, so I'm going to do something a little bit different and show you how to kind of get some colors in there as well and kind of still have that chalkboard feeling. The stamps that I'm using are from About Art Accents, and you can find them at www.artneco.com, and if you're watching this video on YouTube, I'll have a link right to that stamp at the in the video description, so you can check that out. And I will be doing a giveaway of some of their stamps later on this week on my blog, and the link to that is also under the video. So the first thing we're going to do is get some black cardstock, or what I really like, because it has a really nice poster board, a nice chalkboard finish, is the black poster board from the Dollar Tree. You know, it's 50 cents for a 20 by 30 inch sheet, and it's got a really great matte chalky finish to it. We're going to use either clear or white ink. This is just the cheapo ink from AC Moore. It's like $1 a pad, and then I just refill it with white gouache and glycerin, so I make my own white ink. And it doesn't really matter because we're going to use white embossing powder, so use whatever you like. Make sure you have it inked up really well. And I am just going to stamp in the center of this panel. This panel's probably, oh gosh, 5 by 6 or so. And I always give my ink a few seconds to transfer. And the reason I'm using a big size is because I know I'm going to want to make a border, and I just want to have that, I want to make sure I have plenty of room so I'm not squishing it on the sides. Now, I keep my embossing powder in an old Stampin' Up! Stamp box that I cut the lid off so that it wouldn't go closing on me. And I saved all those little baby spoons from when my kids were little, and I use those for spooning on embossing powder. Gonna brush off any extra. I should have used my embossing pouch, but I forgot to. Now I'm gonna go and heat it up over at my heat gun, and I'll be right back. Alright, that's all heated up. Now we're gonna have to find a frame for this. Now you could freehand it or use a stencil, and I remembered I had this book that I got years ago at Borders, I think, and it has all kinds of little frames in there. So I'm going to grab one of these frames and I'm just going to trace it. So what I'm going to use is a pastel pencil, which is just basically like chalk and a pencil. If you don't have a pastel pencil, you can use a piece of chalk, or you could use a colored pencil. And what I'm going to do, I wish these stencils came out, I'm actually going to trace the edges of this fancy stencil around my cardboard here, but I am going to have to trim it down a little bit. So I'll grab my scissors and just trim off one of the sides so I can fit it in there. Maybe I'll go ahead and cut these stencils out of the book one of these days, but I don't see that happening right away. I probably cut that a little bit too much, so what I'm going to do is actually get a quarter of the stencil done and then kind of move it. So you'll see how you can actually use your stencils to be very versatile. Let me slide that down a little bit more. And then I'll just try to do the same exact thing to the other side so it matches. Remember, this is the chalkboard technique is chalkboards are hand done. Like if you go to Starbucks and you see a cool chalkboard or at a cafe or something, that's hand done. So that's really what you want it. You want it to look like it's hand done. It shouldn't look too perfect. I'm going to slide it over again. This is terribly riveting, isn't it? It's terrible already. I don't know about riveting. Okay. And okay, I'm gonna have to do a little compensating there to make it evened out, but that's fine. Alright, so that's what we have now. Now we're gonna go in with some color. I am gonna kind of go in, now that I have that foundation, I can be very sketchy with it. So what I'm gonna do is zoom in a little bit and then just start enhancing my lines. And now I'm going to go in with some color. And you can be as creative as you want with this. And I can add a border on the outside. These pencils, I really like these Van Gogh pastel pencils. They're made by Talons. When I got them, they were very inexpensive, and I got them online, I think through like Jerry's Artorama or something. I don't know nowadays if they're still available. It was several years ago. And then you could even like make a design. You know, you've got the foundation done. You've traced the stencil. You've stamped the majority of this image. So really, as long as you do the same thing to each side, you're going to end up with a nice design. You can kind of color in little bits of your area there. And then what I like to do to finish it off, or at least to kind of, I do a couple steps here. First thing is I grab my Aquanet, cheapest hairspray you can find, because that will work the best. And I'm going to spray it, and it's going to make my colors darker, so you want to be careful with that. So I've just given it a spray. As it dries, the colors will come back a bit. I'm going to set this aside and prepare my card base, because this needs to dry. I have quite a bit on there, probably too much. So now I'm going to move that scrap out of the way and take my card base. I like these craft card bases. You can get them, oh gosh, like 100 for $5 with envelopes, or maybe it's 50 for $5 with envelopes on sale at the craft stores quite a bit. And I'm going to choose a matting layer here. Let's see. What do I want? I want something that can go horizontally. I do want a little more color in there than that. Maybe I'll just go with this. Oh, I like that. Use these spiders. This is the Midnight Spell stack from Die Cuts with a View. I really like these stacks because they're meant for matting photos, so they're 6.5 by 4.5, which makes it really nice for layering on these 5x7 cards. But I wanted a little something between this and the craft card. I didn't want to add another layer, so what I'm going to do is use a ruler and a marker to make a faux layer. And this is great because it will save you on postage. So keep this in mind when you're making your Christmas cards or anytime you got to send a lot of stuff, because it can really save a lot. And also, not having so many bulky, chunky layers makes the cards travel through the postal service a little bit easier too. Less chance of it getting torn up in delivery. So see how easy that is? I'm just using, this is just a triangle from the drafting department of a office supply store, and I'm using it's got what's called an inking edge. It's just a really nice, easy to mark against edge. And I'm using a permanent marker. This is a Copic. You could use anything that will give you a wide edge, really, is what you want. And it didn't, there's a little bled through, just a little bit on the corner, not a big deal. Water-based marker won't bleed through, but you also won't get quite as dark of a line. Let's see how that looks. I'm all right with that. If you want to have a wider mat, you could just have drawn it a little bit closer to the edge. All right, where has my adhesive gone? Here it is. Still loving the adhesive runner. I've stepped into the 90s and got an adhesive runner. It was on sale. And I do like it. I had them before in the past, different brands, and I always get them tangled up and ruined. Alright, and now, oh, you know what? Before I stick that down, I do want to put a little bit of this. Remember this? Die cut self-adhesive felt that was all the rage a few years ago? Well, I've got a drawer full of it. So I'm going to use it up. So I just want to figure out about how long I need it and snip it. I think the thing with this was, it always seemed, I don't know, a little much, like a little too expensive and a little too friggy. And I didn't buy any of it. I got some as a gift, quite a bit of it actually. And it's beautiful. So then the other thing is you don't just want to waste it. So then you've got this drawer full of stuff that you're waiting for that special thing to use it on, and then the older it gets, the harder it is to peel the backing paper off. So then I realized I really just need to use this, either my cards or my scrapbooks, and enjoy it and stop hoarding it, because you hoard it and you forget about it, and it's just not a good situation. So this is that Queen & Company stuff. I don't think they make it anymore, so I have to apologize if you're looking for it, but you could always die cut a border, because I know you can get die cuts. You can die cut stuff like this with your die cutting machine, or you can go to, if you have one of those scrapbook stores that has an AccuCut machine, you can usually just buy the cardstock and they'll die cut it for you. But sadly, stores like that are few and far between these days. And there we go. Or you could use some sort of, you know, you could find something to replace that if you want that look and you don't have this product. Because it's a moldy oldie. Alright, then I'm going to use this brad before I have that completely permanently adhered. And I'm going to stick that in here. I think I might make a little hole with my scissors first. These brads, I've got a brad and a flower. The brads are actually from the dollar section at Walmart last year, where they have those little dollar sets of stamps and stuff near the party section. And I just couldn't help myself. So pretty. And I'm also going to make a little embellishment using another stamp from Art & Deco. It's a little Happy Halloween witch medallion. Just using black dye-based ink. And this is a background that I had made quite a while ago with some photo paper. And it was just sitting in my drawer, not doing anything. So I figured it's time to use it or lose it. Use it or forget about it for another 6 months. Luckily with photo paper, it dries really quickly, as opposed to glossy cardstock. And I'm all about using what I have on hand before I go and buy something new. Unless I happen to see something really cute, then I buy it. Alright, I'm gonna hold off until I put my main panel down, which hopefully is drying as we speak. Let's take a look at that and see how it's looking. Let me just see. Yep. All right. So now I can go over this with my pencil. But you know what? First, I think I'm going to cut it out, stick it to my card base, then go over and add my accents. So I know you're probably not seeing the chalk at all on the video, but it's there, and we'll be building that up in just a moment. Just got to cut it out. So I asked a question to my blog readers. If they liked my videos that are just kind of done in real time, or if those are boring and they'd rather me, you know, skip bits out, like maybe pause it when I'm cutting things out, or pause it when I'm coloring, or, you know, do things like that to make it a little bit faster and slicker. And I did have a couple people said that, you know, just pause it when you're coloring. That's not very interesting unless the video's about coloring. But most people said, leave it in. And, hey, that's great, because I'm lazy and it's less work for me. One person said, I see those videos that are well done all the time, but I really like yours. Anyway, I thought that was funny. I like those well done professional looking videos, but yours are more fun. You know, no chance of it being professional here. But look at how nice and bright the colors show up now that I've done the fixative and then added another. I've done the hairspray, not fixative. Girl, I'm using hairspray. I don't know where that came from. Alright, so I'm going to stick this down with dimensional adhesive. Hey girl, here's a use for your hairspray. I really ought to practice things before I say it out loud in the video, because I sound like a fool. Alright, let's stick this on and then add some more accents, so that way we won't get chalk on our fingers. I do find the chalk sticks a little bit better after I fixed it, because this paper really has no tooth. It's like a blackboard, it's flat. And blackboards are easy to erase, so you know you don't want your chalk to be erased. So now I'm going to go through and add my lovely details. There's a lot of inexpensive pastel pencils out there, and I really don't think you need to spend a lot of money. They're so fun for stamping. And they're fun for, you know, if you like to do small artwork as well, or if your kids like to draw and want to add some color, because you have a lot more control with this and your fingers stay clean. A lot of people really, they want to use chalk, but they just can't get over the fingers being filthy. And, you know, you have that nice wood barrel, so it does keep your hands clean. But look at how that just pops now that we've fixed it, and we're going over and adding our accents back in. Yeah, I really like that. It seems like the white does have a hard time sticking over. Oh no, it's going on pretty good now. Sometimes it seems like I can't get the white to go back on after, but it's working good now, so disregard that. But again, these are pastel pencils, and there are a lot of different brands, and they're inexpensive brands in the craft store, and they'll be just fine for this. Pastel pencils tend to be harder than soft pastels, so I think that, you know, the cheap ones are great, because generally harder pastels are cheaper, and I don't think that there's too much quality difference there. All right, so there you have it. It's a very, very easy card. Now, I want to show you an option because right now chalkboard is really popular. There's lots of chalkboard stamps coming out. It's a very trendy thing. So next year it might not be trendy and you've got this stamp and oh my gosh, what are you going to do with it? Well, I have an option, an alternative here. Oh, you know what? Hey, I forgot to stick this down. A little foam square. Tangent! I'm so changeable, as Moriarty would say. I am so jonesing for the new series of Sherlock. And I hear that we're not going to get it until 2014 because we're in America. I might have to to travel over to England and sleep on the couch of one of my YouTube viewers because I want to see the new series of Sherlock. All right. Okay, so these are the chalkboard samples, but I want to show you something else you could do when the chalkboard craze is done. Here we have a I just took that same stamp. I stamped it in artichoke, pumpkin, and eggplant. Oh, that sounds yummy. Inks. And then I just went over it with my little color dusters using the same ink pads. Any brand is fine. Dye-based ink will be fine. Did the same technique with the border, stuck it on a piece of paper, and did the same medallion technique, which I didn't stick down hard enough because it's not sticking. But you know, it's a totally different look. It's more of a clean and simple modern look. So regardless of whether this chalkboard style goes out of fashion, you can always do this, make backgrounds. You could, you know, even twist the stamp different ways, make a huge 12 by 12 background for your Halloween pages. You know, think about using your stamps for the long haul and think of the different ways you can use them before you invest. If you like this video, please, I would appreciate a thumbs up and a subscribe, hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos. Check out the stamps. The link is down below. And check out my blog because I'm going to be giving this away, giving the stamp away later on this week on my blog. So check it out. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, happy crafting.